You know those moments that just stick with you? The ones you might share with a friend and they just kind of look at you sideways?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, you've brought us a fantastic collection of those today. Think of this as us exploring the wonderfully weird corners of the internet.
Mm,
Specifically, this stack of personal stories you found. They really do jump all over the map, don't they?
they certainly do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've given us a fascinating mix of these firsthand accounts, these little slices of life shared online. And as we've gone through them, it's clear there's a real spectrum here for you.
Right.
From the kind of absurd that makes you laugh out loud to the stories that, well, leave you with a genuine shiver. These offer some intriguing glimpses into what people do and those truly unexpected twists life throws, in our path.
So, for you, our listener, we're going to unpack the most captivating and insightful bits of this collection. We're your guides today, sifting through everything to bring you those aha moments and the stories you'll find yourself thinking about later. We're diving deep into what these personal narratives reveal about us, the situations we end up in, and yes, even a good dose of the bizarre, all tailored to what we think you'll find most interesting.
Our goal as we look at these stories you shared isn't just to retell them, but to really understand what makes them so compelling for you. What do they tell us about what we prioritize, what we fear, and just how unpredictable everyday life can be? Let's see what we can uncover together for you.
Okay, let's dive into this first one you flagged. Picture this for you. A U.S. military ship, breakfast time, in the wardroom.
Okay.
You've got your classic not a morning person operations officer. This
Hmm.
guy is a zombie with a bagel, right? Bleary-eyed, barely awake.
Uh-huh. I know the type.
And the morning sun, being its usual inconsiderate self, is blasting directly in his face through the porthole. Annoying, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. You can almost imagine how that feels, can't you? That intense morning sun when you're already struggling to get going.
Totally.
It seems like a small thing, but when you're in that state, it can feel like a major assault on your senses.
Yeah. But here's where it gets really interesting for you. This barely conscious OPS guy, he doesn't grumble, doesn't try to shield his eyes. Nope.
What does he do?
He just slowly picks up the phone, dials the bridge, and in this totally out of it voice asks them to shift our bar pat. Yeah, 165.
Shift our bar.
Yeah. Then he just hangs up and goes back to squinting and chewing.
Okay, what's fascinating here for you to consider is the almost casual way he makes this request.
Mm,
Shift our bar pat, like he's asking for, I don't know, a refill on his coffee.
right.
But if you're not familiar with naval terms, bar pat is essentially like a bus route for a ship.
Mm,
It's their regular back and forth patrol pattern.
exactly. And then, slowly but surely, the magic happens for him. That annoying sunbeam starts creeping off his face.
No way.
This massive ship with its hundreds of people and all that sophisticated equipment has just subtly changed course.
Also, this one guy.
Also, this one individual can eat his bagel in peace.
If we connect this to the bigger picture for you, it really highlights the interesting tension between the highly structured, disciplined world of a military ship and the very human, sometimes quite trivial, needs of the people within it.
Yeah, that contrast.
The sheer scale of the solution for such a personal, almost comical problem is what likely made this story stand out to you. It suggests something about how we all will go to surprising lengths for a bit of personal comfort, even in the most unusual of environments. Kind of funny, actually.
Okay, let's shift gears completely now. For the next story you send over, this one takes a much darker turn.
Right.
We've got a Redditor who starts finding these strange notes in their apartment.
Suspicious, right?
Definitely.
Your first thought, naturally, might be that their landlord is stalking them.
That's a pretty immediate and understandable fear to have when you discover unexplained notes in your private space, wouldn't you agree? It feels like a real violation and can be incredibly unsettling.
For sure. And it escalates for this person. More notes appear, but the writing starts getting really weird, almost delirious.
Oh, obviously, this cranks up the paranoia for the original poster. They're thinking their landlord's behavior is becoming increasingly erratic, which I can imagine would be quite worrying for you if you were in that situation.
This raises an important question for you about how we all interpret unusual behavior. When we feel like our safety is threatened, our minds often jump to the most obvious or fear-inducing explanation, don't they? Like straight to the worst case.
Yeah, totally. But here comes the unexpected twist for you. Someone in the comment section, thankfully thinking outside the box, suggests something completely different: carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh, okay.
They point out that the OP's symptoms, the delirium, the memory loss, the paranoia, can all be indicators of CO poisoning.
What's so crucial about this story for you to take away is that it really underscores the importance of considering alternative explanations, especially when we're dealing with symptoms that can affect both our minds and our bodies.
Yeah, things you might not connect.
Right. Carbon monoxide is a silent danger, and its effects can easily be mistaken for other issues, as you can see here.
It's a chilling reminder, isn't it, of the dangers of threats we can't even see.
Definitely.
And it also highlights for you the surprising power of online communities. You've got this person in a terrifying situation, and a random commenter manages to connect the dots and potentially save them from something really serious, even fatal.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
pretty powerful aha moment, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a real testament to the collective knowledge that can exist online and the unexpected ways that help can sometimes find us. Really makes you think.
Right. Prepare yourself for some serious secondhand embarrassment for this next one you found.
Uh-oh.
This story involves a dinner party, a new boss, and a husband with a truly unique approach to dealing with an undercooked steak.
Oh, this is the one with the flying stick, isn't it?
It is.
I remember this one. It's a real masterclass in how social situations can go spectacularly sideways.
It really is, and I thought you'd appreciate this one. So the wife is super stressed about her husband making a good impression on her new boss.
Understand.
The husband, of course, is full of confidence, assures her he's got this. Dinner starts well, jokes are landing, everyone's getting along. Then comes the steak.
And
And for the husband, well, let's just say it's practically still saying moo.
he vividly describes it as being able to resuscitate the cow. That paints quite a picture for you, doesn't it?
It does.
Now, he's in a real bind. He doesn't want to be rude, but he clearly has no intention of eating this thing.
Exactly. He briefly considers faking being vegan, but then remembers he'd already raved about the steak earlier. So when the boss heads to the kitchen,
Yeah.
our hero has what he hilariously calls a cartoon light bulb moment. He looks across the dining room at what he thinks is an open third-story window
Oh, no.
and decides the completely logical solution is to just launch the steak out of it.
The sheer audacity of that decision, the mental gymnastics he must have gone through in that split second to arrive at that plan, are truly astounding for you to consider.
And then, of course, the epic fail, which I knew you'd find amusing.
It wasn't open, was it?
The window is not open. It is, in fact, the cleanest freaking window you've ever seen until it's suddenly decorated with a rather graphic, bloody streak of undercooked beef.
Oh, my God.
The wife, who had absolutely no idea about the steak dilemma, turns around and sees this, and her reaction is just priceless. He says she looks at him like he's an alien,
I bet.
and then it quickly morphs into a "there is no place on this planet you can ever hide from me" level of demonic fury.
You can just picture that scene playing out for you, can't you?
Yeah.
The muffled thud, the slow red slide of the steak down the glass,
Yeah.
the absolute disbelief etched on the wife's face. And then the boss innocently wanders back in to see what all the commotion is about.
Cue what must have been the world's most excruciatingly awkward silence, just for your entertainment.
Oh, painful.
The husband's pathetic attempts to explain it away as simple clumsiness, his wife offering absolutely zero support.
Just stone-faced, I imagine.
The desperate, futile smearing of blood with a napkin, it's just hilariously awful. And his eventual solution
Don't tell me he...
to then sheepishly eat every single bite of that cold, practically raw steak.
No. Oh, the commitment. The sheer commitment to his ridiculous plan, even after its spectacular and messy failure, is almost admirable in a very bizarre way, don't you think?
Something.
And the wife's incredibly terse two-word response afterwards, "I'm fine,"
Yeah.
speaks volumes about the depth of her mortification.
But the story doesn't end there for you. We get the wife's perspective, and it's absolute gold.
Oh, good.
She admits her initial anxiety about bringing her husband to this important dinner precisely because of his long history of doing really dumb shit.
Okay, so there's precedent.
Apparently so. She was actually starting to feel relieved when things were going smoothly, and then the airborne steak incident.
Bam.
Her utter disbelief that he could possibly think throwing a steak out of what he thought was a third-story window was a remotely reasonable course of action.
Her internal monologue, as he recounts it, is fantastic for you to hear. The sheer conflict she felt between wanting to somehow help him out of this self-made disaster
Right. Like, do I help? Or just let him burn?
and the dawning realization that there was just no coming back from this. and the mutual unspoken agreement to just pretend the whole thing never happened for the rest of the excruciating long evening.
And the resolution, thankfully for their marriage, if not their immediate social standing, is somewhat positive.
Oh.
The wife later sends her husband a text saying that she and her boss actually had a good laugh about the whole unbelievable ordeal.
Really? Okay, unexpected positive outcome.
So, disaster averted, in a way. It's a perfect example, I think you'll agree, of how the exact same event can be perceived and processed so incredibly differently by the people involved, and the utter unpredictability of social situations.
And it's a great reminder for you that sometimes those truly mortifying moments can actually lead to a bit of unexpected humor in retrospect, even if it felt anything but funny at the time.
Definitely not a laughing matter for them in the moment. Okay, let's move on now to some more intimate and potentially equally awkward territory with the next story you sent. We have a tale about a quiet, polite, and sexually inexperienced graduate student who was dating a girlfriend with a much kinkier side.
The classic dynamic of mismatched expectations when it comes to the bedroom. That's always a setup for some, shall we say, memorable moments for everyone involved.
Yeah, memorable is one word for it. So the girlfriend, in an attempt to explore this aspect of their relationship, broaches the idea of dirty talk.
Right.
Apparently, she's into being objectified during sex. The boyfriend, bless his shy heart, is hesitant but trying to be open to new things.
Trying to be accommodating.
Exactly. They kind of leave the conversation hanging in the air. But then, a few days later, during sex, she directly asks him, or rather, demands that he talk dirty to her.
Oh, okay. The pressure's really on him in that moment, isn't it?
Totally.
He's got to come up with something, anything, in the heat of the moment with little to no preparation.
And what he manages to come up with is, well, it's spectacularly inappropriate and completely out of left field, given his described personality.
Uh-oh. What did he say?
He apparently says, and I quote directly from your source, "Yeah, you like that, you fucking retard."
Oh, my. Well, that is certainly not the kind of language I would have anticipated, especially given the setup.
Right.
The sheer unexpectedness of that statement, considering his quiet and polite demeanor, is genuinely shocking. Wouldn't you agree?
Completely shocking. It understandably brings the sexual activity to a rather abrupt halt.
I imagine so, yeah. End of scene.
End of scene for that night. But here's the truly bizarre part for you to consider. Despite this monumental blunder, they apparently stayed together for at least another 2 years.
That's the really surprising element, isn't it? You might think that would be a definite relationship ender. It really highlights for you just how strange and resilient interpersonal relationships can sometimes be, defying all logical expectations.
It really does. And it seems this wasn't a completely isolated phenomenon based on another anecdote you included.
Oh, there's more.
A similar situation. This one involves a man, an Indian woman, and a similar request for racist dirty talk.
Okay. Also not a great starting point.
Not at all. His equally cringe-inducing response. "You like that, you curry-eating bitch."
Again, language that is not only deeply inappropriate, but also genuinely offensive. It's quite baffling to try and understand how someone could possibly think that such language would be desirable or arousing in any context. It's just, wow.
But here's another unexpected twist for you. Their reaction was laughter.
Laughter, really?
Apparently, they both just started cracking up, and that effectively ruined any further sexual activity for the night.
This really underscores for you the crucial role of context and shared understanding, even within the realm of provocative or edgy requests. What might be a complete and utter turnoff in one situation can, in another,
Just be funny.
perhaps due to a pre-existing dynamic or shared sense of humor, be strangely amusing, though it's a very fine and potentially very dangerous line to tread, as you can imagine.
Absolutely. It really just goes to show you how different people are and the sheer variety in their expectations, boundaries, and what they might find acceptable or even funny in very specific and unusual circumstances. Wild stuff.
Now, let's pivot to a story that carries a great deal more emotional weight for you.
Yeah, this next one is quite different.
This one involves a former VIP tour guide at Disney City Hall and 2 young girls who had experienced truly unimaginable trauma.
This story really resonated with me, and I thought it would with you too. These 2 little girls, they were in a horrific car accident where they tragically lost both of their parents.
Oh, how awful.
They were from overseas with absolutely no money or family contacts in the area. The nurses who had brought them to Disney were actually trying to get a refund on their tickets, hoping to use the money to help the girls get back home.
The sheer level of trauma these young children must have been experiencing is just Devastating to even contemplate, isn't it?
It really is.
And the added difficulty of their practical situation being stranded and completely alone in a foreign country only amplifies the tragedy of it all for them.
The narrator, understandably, is deeply moved by their plight. They immediately refund the tickets and manage to get permission to act as the girls' private tour guide for the entire day, hoping to bring them some small measure of comfort.
That's incredibly kind.
They try everything they can think of: jokes, special behind-the-scenes experiences, but the girls are, understandably, completely shut down, barely responsive. They hadn't even managed a single smile.
It really highlights for you the limitations of even the most sincere and well-intentioned efforts when someone is grappling with such profound grief and trauma. You can't simply wave a magic wand and make that kind of pain disappear, can you?
No, not at all. But then the narrator has this truly inspired idea. They call the parade department and arrange a very special private meet and greet with Mickey Mouse himself.
Oh, okay.
And when they gently tell the girls that Mickey personally wants to meet them, the younger girl, who was in a wheelchair due to her injuries, actually manages a small smile.
Oh, wow.
It's the very first sign of any positive emotion since the unimaginable happened to them.
That seemingly small gesture of hope must have been an incredibly powerful moment to witness, and I'm sure it resonates with you. It really speaks to the enduring magic and the unique comfort that characters like Mickey Mouse can offer, especially to children facing such immense hardship.
And it gets even more heartwarming for you. Every single parade performer they encountered on the way reinforced the message, telling the girls to keep an eye out because Mickey was looking just for them.
Well, that's lovely, like the whole park was in on it.
Kind of. And then Mickey himself, from his float during the parade, gives them a very subtle personal acknowledgement. The girls, who had been so withdrawn, suddenly become visibly excited. That heavy cloud of grief seems to lift, at least for a precious little while.
It's a truly beautiful example of collective kindness and the profound power of creating even a brief moment of pure joy in the face of such deep and overwhelming sadness.
They end up spending a significant amount of time in the VIP lounge, meeting all sorts of characters, looking through autograph books with wide eyes, just like any other kids.
That's wonderful.
And then, the real magic. The costumed Mickey Mouse comes backstage for a private visit with the girls, staying in character for over an hour, and even bringing other beloved characters along to interact with them.
Over an hour. That's dedication.
Right. By the time Mickey finally has to say goodbye, these two little girls who had arrived completely traumatized are smiling, giggling, and actually talking about their experience. And then in the rose garden, the older girl remembers her mother's love for roses.
Oh.
And the narrator helps her pick one to keep. It's such a tender and poignant moment.
It truly is a story that underscores for you how even the smallest acts of empathy and genuine human connection can have a profoundly significant impact, especially in times of immense suffering.
Yeah.
And it's completely understandable why this experience led the narrator to realize that the real magic of Disney isn't about the elaborate rides or the grand illusions, but about that fundamental human connection and the unique power of these characters to bring comfort and even a flicker of joy in the darkest of circumstances.
It's a powerful reminder for you, I think, that sometimes the most meaningful kind of magic isn't about the spectacular, but about simple, heartfelt kindness and human connection in the face of overwhelming tragedy.
Absolutely. It's a story that really stays with you on an emotional level, doesn't it? Really beautiful.
Our final deep dive for you takes us into a realm that's a bit more unsettling and definitely unexplained.
Okay, shifting gears again.
This is the tale of the Whistler. It starts when the narrator is around 8 years old, walking their dog late at night with their mom near a swampy woods area in Lansing, Michigan.
All right.
They hear this really strange, inconsistent, almost human-like whistling coming from the swamp, and their mom gets genuinely freaked out and hurries them both back inside.
That immediately sets a very unsettling tone for you, doesn't it? A strange, unidentifiable sound in the darkness is always a bit unnerving, especially when it triggers such a strong and fearful reaction from a parent.
Exactly. Fast forward about 2 years, and the narrator is taking the dog out late at night again, this time closer to home. Suddenly, they hear the exact same distinctive whistling sound coming from a large bush near their front door.
Whoa. Same sound.
Same exact sound. The vivid memory of their mother's fear from that earlier encounter immediately floods back, and they bolt back inside the house.
The fact that the same peculiar sound reappears in a completely different location and after a passage of time definitely amps up the creep factor for you.
Yeah.
It strongly suggests this wasn't just a random one-off occurrence.
Right. It feels targeted almost. Years pass, and the narrator doesn't really think much about these odd incidents. Then, as a 24-year-old, they're on an Independence Day camping trip in Pierre, South Dakota, with their girlfriend, Sarah.
Okay, different state entirely now.
Yeah. It's late, and there's this eerie atmosphere with a storm starting to roll in and not many other people around. They hear the sound of a paddle in the nearby Missouri River. And then they spot a lone figure in a canoe about 20 meters offshore, just as Sarah has gone to get more drinks. And then the figure in the canoe whistles directly at them.
Don't tell me.
And it's the exact same unmistakable, chilling whistle from both of their childhood encounters.
That's the point where it likely goes from just unsettling to something genuinely bizarre and deeply disturbing for you to consider. The idea that this same specific sound could resurface after so many years across state lines.
Yeah.
It just defies any easy or logical explanation. How is that possible?
I have no idea. The narrator is understandably terrified. They actually shout out, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
at the figure in the canoe,
Could they answer?
who responds only with more of that same eerie whistling before turning the canoe and silently paddling away into the growing darkness.
Yeah, to more whistling. Wow.
Yeah.
Creepy.
And here's a really interesting piece of this puzzle for you. The narrator, who works as a videographer, had been filming the fireworks earlier and inadvertently captured the whistling sound and the disappearing canoe on video.
So unlike the childhood memories, there's actual documented evidence of this later encounter, which adds a whole new layer to this perplexing mystery for you.
Exactly.
It wasn't just a trick of memory or a fleeting auditory hallucination. It's on tape.
Right. And the video, when they reviewed it, even picked up the distinct two-note whistle, a high note followed by a lower one amidst the sounds of the fireworks.
Huh.
Specific pattern.
Initially, the narrator even asked Sarah if she had been whistling, and in the final shot, after boosting the brightness, you could just make out a figure in the canoe who appears to be wearing something that looks like a red sweater.
Okay, a few more details, but still no answers.
But here's the strangest twist of all for you. When the narrator later shows this video evidence to their mother, she has absolutely no recollection whatsoever of that original childhood whistling incident near the swamp.
What? She doesn't remember it at all.
Not a thing.
That really throws a significant curveball into the whole narrative, doesn't it? Could the initial childhood memory have somehow been misremembered or even imagined?
Maybe, but then, how do you possibly account for the undeniable reappearance of the exact same distinct whistle years later in a completely different state, a sound that was even captured on video? It's a real conundrum.
It truly is an unexplainable mystery, and I can imagine it's the kind of story that sticks with you. The narrator is left with a lasting sense of fear and so many unanswered questions. How could this person, or whatever it was, have seemingly followed them across so many years and so many miles?
Yeah.
Was it just an incredibly bizarre coincidence? What was the true source of that chilling, recurring whistle? We just don't know.
This story really taps into that primal fear of the unknown that I think resonates with all of us. That feeling of being washed or even haunted by something we simply cannot identify or understand.
Definitely.
The complete lack of any logical explanation is precisely what makes this particular story so deeply unsettling, and likely why it stood out to you. It's the kind of thing that lingers in your thoughts long after you've heard it.
Absolutely. It leaves you pondering those strange and unexplained corners of our world and the often unreliable nature of memory itself.
So as we bring this deep dive to a close for you, you can really see the incredible range of human experience that we've explored together.
It's been quite a ride.
We've taken a journey from the almost trivial act of rerouting a naval vessel for a bit of breakfast comfort, to the potentially life-saving quick thinking of an online commenter, the sheer comedic chaos of a stake hurled through a closed window,
Still can't get over that one.
the awkward minefield of bedroom miscommunications, the profound and moving impact of simple human kindness, and finally, the lingering unease of a truly baffling and unexplained phenomenon.
These stories, each in their own unique and sometimes peculiar way, really do offer us glimpses into the wonderfully unexpected nature of life and the myriad ways that we humans react to and navigate the experiences that come our way, no matter how big or how small. We really hope that these narratives you shared spark some interesting thoughts for you, and maybe even a few laughs or perhaps a shiver or two.
This all raises a really interesting question for you to consider, our listener. What are some of the seemingly small or even insignificant moments in your own life that have, in retrospect, turned out to have surprisingly large or particularly lasting impacts?
That's a great question.
Perhaps taking some time to reflect on your own experiences can offer you a new perspective on the power and often unpredictable nature of the stories we've explored together today.
Definitely something for you to mull over. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive into the wonderfully weird world of personal anecdotes you brought our way.